Moyer.
Recording in progress.
Our speaker is Jaye Moyer. She's been such a help and have our Sunday services move along with such diverse programming. When she is here, she always sends out a warm and loving light. And today, she's going to teach us about choosing joy and allowing joy, even.
Good morning.
Morning.
Hi. I have asked Elizabeth Tarvin to stop me mid-sentence if there is anybody on Zoom who can't hear me. And same here. It's so important that we be able to hear each other. I think I might raise this up a little bit, if that's possible. Yeah. Okay. Ah. So I asked the question, can we deliberately set the intention to turn our attention to moments of joy, even the seemingly ordinary moments, even the moments that are difficult? From Boundless Heart by Christina Feldman. We look for joy in our relationships, in nature. I'll speak up a little bit. Okay. We look for joy in our relationships, in nature, in play. Joy not only gladdens our hearts, it brings meaning and intimacy to the fabric of our lives. It is in moments of joy that we feel ourselves to be fully alive, vibrant, and appreciative human beings. I really like the way they say hello in the East. Namaste. It is a way of acknowledging that we see the dignity in each other. We see the dignity in each other beyond our quirkiness, beyond our personalities, beyond our anxieties and worries. We see that. We see the inherent worth and dignity regardless of beliefs, regardless of affiliations, regardless of orientations. That can be challenging. That can be not always easy to do. Here's something that the teacher, Dharma teacher, meditation teacher, one of my teachers, Susan Morgan, wrote about joy. Joy is a heart-opening practice. It connects us. It evens the playing field by saying, your happiness in this moment is deeply seen and appreciated. Joy, delight, appreciation, mutual respect. The I seeing you, seeing me, seeing you shines through. Joy. Do you guys remember Mr. Rogers? Won't you be my neighbor? I often experienced him as a little too joyful. Very possibly, as I think back on it, that was my reaction to kindness and to joy. I was a little suspicious. I didn't know if I could really trust the sincerity of his message. And now I'm just kind of meandering down a little bit of a path, but I do invite you guys to think about what was some of the early messaging that you received about joy? Who expressed joy? Who didn't? Who was welcomed? Who wasn't? Who was befriended? Because I think so many of those early patterns still can impact us in our lives today. Nevertheless, Mr. Rogers was a friend and a benefactor to millions of children. And I believe he offered a sense of refuge, a place of welcome. Remember how he sang, "There's nobody in the whole world quite like you"? Nobody. He was welcoming. And it's easy to find joy in this. And I'm sure he found joy in welcoming. I'm not quite as skeptical as I was years ago. That softens. The joy of being welcomed just because you are who you are. The experience of feeling welcomed because you are who you are is a wonderful feeling. And it can actually be a healing experience. It really can. And how about being a welcoming presence? Right? That's a wonderful feeling too. Have you ever had the experience that you thought you might not be welcomed and then you were taken in with enthusiasm? Have you ever had that? Yeah. People feel that when they walk into 12-step meetings. They feel that when they walk into welcoming congregations. Glad to see you. Feel the joy in that. Glad to see you. In Buddhist thinking, joy is one of the Brahma Viharas, known as a heart quality. It is seen as innately in us, but we need to nurture it, we need to cultivate it. And these Brahma Viharas are really viewed as unconditional, boundless. Sometimes they're referred to as the four immeasurables. Again, Christina Feldman from Boundless Heart. In Buddhist thinking, joy, like kindness and compassion, is not left to chance. The seed of joy lives in all of our hearts. It is a capacity and a potential of the human mind-heart. We learn to cultivate joy and to understand its roots. We begin to sense what is within us that obstructs the arising of joy. And with practice, we learn to abide in joy in all conditions. Mary Oliver speaks about joy even in the midst of the world being on fire. Attending to joy does not make the terrible less terrible. And sometimes for me, joy has been a kind of a flat word. People often can resonate a little more with mystery. Wonder. Wonder of just being alive. I think a lot of us think that joy is something we just come upon or it comes upon us. I'm suggesting that it takes a deliberate intention to see and feel into joyful moments, even the seemingly ordinary moments. That we make a deliberate choice to notice and to savor joy. Do we notice the sprigs of joy in our life? What are the sprigs of joy in your life? By purposely illuminating joy, we are bringing the more wholesome around. We are feeding the heart good food and helping to restore its brightness. A deliberate nurturing. Yeah, some of the most joyful people, and you might think about who's joyful in your life. Who's joyful? Some of the most joyful people have experienced the most horrific times. Desmond Tutu, the Dalai Lama, Thich Nhat Hanh. They exude joy. One of the first prayers that Himalayan monks learn in meditation teaches them that their seemingly ordinary bodies are precious, and teaches them gratitude for all their seemingly ordinary bodies can do. Sight, hearing, smell, cognition, we understand, digestion. Pretty amazing, actually, what these ordinary bodies do. We can understand, we can laugh, cry. These bodies allow us to move, dance, make art, sing, and not all bodies have this capacity. Our bodies will lose this capacity. We are impermanent and vulnerable. And they also learn gratitude for the seemingly small everyday things, like the warmth of sun, the moon, running water, a beautiful flower, the unfurling of a fiddlehead, the unfurling of a friendship. I don't think we can rise into the quality of joy without our practicing gratitude. I don't think we can rise into the quality of joy without a sense of awe and wonder and mystery in aliveness. People who feel more gratitude are more joyful. It is not joy that makes people more grateful. It's the opposite. And there's scientific proof that shows that. People who have more gratitude have more joy. Brene Brown is a teacher and a researcher on feelings and vulnerability and shame and courage, all sorts of different kinds of feelings. And she has written and researched also on joy. And she said that she came to recognize that the most terrifying feeling we can feel is joy. And she said that shocked her. And it kind of shocked me. And I thought, wow, do I have a difficult time feeling joy? That's a good reflection, actually. And here's what she wrote about it. On the brink of joy, we come face to face with our vulnerability. All sentient creatures are vulnerable, but we humans are aware of it, and it frightens us. And one of the ways, she says, that we deal with this the way we protect our frightened selves is by cutting off and exiling joy. We beat vulnerability to the punch. We try to. This is a strategy that we all use. I know it. I'm familiar with it. It's a way we try to feel safe. But feeling safe in this way deprives us of a lot of life, deprives us of joy. You know, as grandparents, as parents, we watch over our children as they sleep and we go, oh, this is amazing, their little bodies and their breathing and the preciousness of them. And then, oh, danger, danger, something terribly could go wrong. And it gets cut off. Cut off. Before we're even aware, joy has evaporated. Just a pale memory. Vulnerability does not have to kill joy. And she writes, I love this. Vulnerability is the birthplace of love, joy, and creativity. Vulnerability is the birthplace of love, joy, and creativity, accountability, and authenticity. If we want greater clarity or purpose, or deeper, more meaningful spiritual lives, if that's what we want, vulnerability is the path. When we allow vulnerability, we actually become a place of refuge. Welcome. I met a woman on a last retreat I was on. The retreat was on natural compassion. We liked each other, and we decided that after noble silence, because you go into silence, you don't talk for a long period of time, so you can begin to listen to what is happening inside. We were going to meet up, and we did. And we started to talk about joy. She's probably in her 70s. And she said, Jaye, I'll tell you about my relationship with joy. But I have to tell you something very sad first. 20 years ago, I lost my only child, my son. And I knew I would never feel joy again. I knew it. But it isn't true. I feel great joy every day of my life. Grief and joy, they're just the same side, different sides of the coin. They exist together. She's someone who beamed joy. Beamed it. There are terrible things happening in the world today. There's a lot of confusion and hatred. And there are many people doing wonderful things. Wonderful things that bring great joy right now. Take a moment. Think about someone, human or four-legged, or a place that brings you joy, that delights you. Not just your concept, thought about it, but a real invitation to let that be here with you right now. Jackie, would you read the closing words?